Hello, my name is Will and welcome back to Thoughts for Little Time Bombs. You are most welcome. As usual, if you're returning, then I'm deeply grateful to you for continuing to invest your time listening to me. Occasionally, I hope I do make sense, or some of my thoughts do make sense for you. And if this is your first visit, then thank you very much for popping by. I hope you'll remain intrigued enough to listen to the end and then possibly have a look at the videos we made earlier, and maybe you'll find something in there. Thoughts for Little Time Bombs is about me throwing ideas at you that may go off now, may make sense to you now, may have value for you now, or they may go off at a later date. Of their own choosing, when the unconscious mind remembers it and says, listen, this is what was said, do you remember it? This could be useful. Help you either dig your way out of this hole or stop you digging the hole in the first place. So you are most welcome. I thank you very much for attending, and I'm going to throw as many ideas as I can against you as usual, and I hope that they do make sense. This week could be a bit different. Anyway, let's get on with it. You may well remember, it's difficult not to if you've been listening regularly, that I am compelled to do what I do because I have dreams I want to achieve, things I want to achieve in my life, and I'm aware that time is passing so quickly. The older you get, the quicker time passes, and it's not an exaggeration. It is real. We seem to be living our lives at a different speed to where we were, how we did when we were much younger. So time is now racing away from us. And I think mentioned as one of the policies I have for myself, and one I was pushing on you some weeks back, is that we need to be desperate enough to do something. We need to be desperate enough to do anything to start moving towards doing anything that helps us achieve that dream. That means, in my view, the Stoics have it right. I keep going on about this, in that there's enough time to do anything if we don't waste time. We can achieve great things, we can achieve good things, we can achieve those things that are so personal to us, and we don't always need an audience for our dreams. They can be just incredibly personal things. I can't name one off the top of my head now. They can be emotional, they can be things that you promised somebody 40 years ago, whatever. They are things, personal things. Some may need an audience, some may need support from other people. And as I say, some may not even need an audience. It can be so ridiculously personal. And so I have said in the past that we have to be desperate enough, because of time pressure, limited time limits. We have to be desperate enough to start, just do anything. We may not even be aware of the route forward towards whatever this thing we want to achieve. We may have no plan, or the plan we have is not perfect, but in life, the plans that we have are never perfect. We have to contend with new challenges whenever we set out on a different route. So, important thing to do is to begin, to be desperate enough to begin, and to accept the fact that the route will become more obvious as we set off. We've got company. Yep, we got company. So probably have to postpone this for a few moments. But this is Shadow. He has come to introduce himself. He's been very unwell. But thankfully, because we've been down that road before, the cost with the vet was quite reasonable compared to £444.33 this time last year, to find out there was nothing wrong with him. So this is Shadow. He's in charge. He sleeps 16 hours a day, and this is relevant actually. He sleeps 16 hours a day, and the 8 hours he is awake are the 8 hours I'm trying to sleep. So he doesn't really respect the fact that I, as human, the person who feeds him, needs to sleep. So this thing that time is against us, it's an age thing, and it would be great if I'd had it when I was in my 20s. I would have achieved probably far more things, but there we are. That's where we are. So I work hard. And as I said, I do French and I get up incredibly early at times just to make sure I'm ready, because I get so nervous before doing it and I want to do a good job. Anything I do, I try to do once, and I try to do it as well as I possibly can because I'm just too lazy to do it again. What's happened this week? Over the last couple of weeks, this is what happened. First of all, actually, I had a very bad back. I used to climb a lot, and like many climbers, I suffer from a bad back and a lower bad back on the left hand side. Muscles sometimes they never tear because I don't let them get that far anymore. If they tear, that's me screaming and on the floor, and he might as well shoot me because it will tear up the whole of the back. So I have to be wary of that. And it takes about 4, maybe 5 days to move out of that zone. And at the beginning of that phase, I take ibuprofen, anti-inflammatories. I don't like taking them. They're not very good for the tummy, and they say if you're over a certain age, you shouldn't be taking them anyway. Have a go to the doc. But if you've got a bad back, you can't get to the doc. So anything that falls on the floor while I'm moving about, it's absolutely vital to move around. I can't get to. For instance, if I were to drop my paracetamol or the ibuprofen, the anti-inflammatory, on the floor, I'll be buggered. I can't get to it. You just can't get to it. So what I do is I walk up and down the corridor until I get some kind of flexibility in the back. If it's not there, then if I just turn a few feet to the right or something, it can put me in serious danger of just collapsing to the floor. I'm pathetic. I'm not pathetic. It's a very serious injury when it goes. And it took me 2 hours to put my socks on last week. And when I say it didn't mean I was trying for 2 hours, it meant that every now and then I try and put my socks on across a period of 2 hours where I was just trying to get some flexibility. In the end, I managed to find a way of putting the socks on. Bad left back, bottom left of my back is bad, which means that for me, my right leg is in trouble. So I did that. The reason I wanted to do that was because I had to put on Wellingtons, and if I put the Wellingtons, then I could walk up the muddy road to get to my car at the top. I parked my car at the top because the road is muddy. My back going is not something I anticipated, but I needed to have socks to put in the Wellingtons to get to the top, to then somehow take the Wellingtons off, to put a pair of trainers, easy trainers on, and find my way to a shop and buy the medication I needed. So I did that. Eventually did that. That was one bad thing to go wrong. But then again, I'm used to it now, but I know I have to rest in a very specific way, and also be careful about how many anti-inflammatories I take. And then, that's a new one now, is ingrowing toenail. I phoned the doctor and he said, this is what you need to do. Very interactive doctor. Said, you don't need the operation. I said, I don't. No, I just do not wish for it to develop so far that it becomes horrible to look at and painful to. So he's told me what to do, and I have to perform surgery myself with an instrument. I'm using a kitchen table knife, which is about digging into the skin where it is, which is actually intruding into, and pulling it back. You do that after the bath, and it is incredibly painful. Then I had a smart moment. What I did was I got some athletic freeze spray, which I use for sprains and I don't know, whatever. And it just freezes the spot. And when it's frozen after a bath, I started pulling it back. And even with the freezing, it's still incredibly painful. But I do it because I've seen people with it, and it's horrible. It can get horrible, bloody, and it's very meaty. So I don't want that, so I'm doing it now and being brave. That's that one. Limiting. The universe is talking clearly. Got a cold and that. And then knee ligament, because I run. I do a bit of weights and swimming possibly. It's a track, it's not a road, it's not a drive. And when you run, you've got potholes and mud. And occasionally you do yourself an injury, and I twisted my knee. And since then, I'm limited in what I can do. So think about it. Left back, left hand side, knee ligaments, left knee, and left toenail, left big toe. So that's that one. So as far as I'm concerned, that's the universe shouting, telling me to do something or to stop doing something. Then there was the case of a massive cold, which lasted about 3.5 weeks. That massive cold had me going through 10 of those little sachets of tissue in one day. Went down to London before it broke, and it broke down there, and that was it. 10 sachets with about half a dozen in each, or whatever it is. Enormously. I was full of soggy. I was covered. All my pockets were full of soggy tissues because we went down by bus, a trip to Kew Gardens, and it was brilliant. I loved it. Loved it. What are you doing? It took ages to recover from that, and stamina. I think I'm still recovering from that. So you can be desperate enough to do things, and by doing it that way, you can end up finding yourself in a hell of a situation, like I have. The universe is not suggesting I slow down; it's screaming at me. It's not whispering sweet nothings. It's telling me that I need to slow down and I need to rest. Rest is something I forgot to mention. Rest is something that I had not built into my own schedule. I go to bed early, I get up early. Doesn't mean I sleep well, but I need to have more rest in my day to be efficient. So what's happened for me is I had become inefficient. And I can guarantee that the work I was doing was about 80% of what it should have been, which is why I haven't released anything for a while. There were cows here once, and the cows used to, as a matter of will, they would just wander around the place. One just to die here, and the others would just go through gates, go through holes in the fences, and that's because there's a farmer who kept them here, who didn't close gates, didn't do a good job with the fences, and did something wrong with the nutrition for the animals. That one just dropped dead, and tried to blame other people, but it's just what I call 90% farming, never finishing a job, never doing it. So that's what I felt I was doing. So the time paranoia was driving me to work too hard and to work inefficiently. So I'm now a bit more chilled. I'm feeling better. I wouldn't have been able to pick him up. I wouldn't have been able to tolerate having him on my knee previously. But here he is now, and I'm just getting better. So I have a schedule which is still tough, but a schedule now that allows a bit more rest. So I'm contradicting what I said before, which is be desperate enough to do things, but my advice is be desperate enough to do things in a manner that keeps efficiency as high as possible. I forgot to mention, and also something that would happen is, in order to give me a good kicking, is that some person, some idiot, took a jackhammer, top of the road about a mile, 2/3 of a mile from here, about a kilometre from here, and went through the fibre optic cable. So I've been without internet and a phone line for 9 days, and none of the buggers bothered to inform me. I've had to chase everything up myself. Right. And that's the thing also. I was exhausted, but I felt guilty about slowing down, about stopping. It seemed that if I stopped, there was a momentum carried on after me, and that momentum was transformed into guilt because I wasn't doing anything. I think that we should always be trying to do something in moving forward with our projects. And sometimes those can be rest. Those can be just taking a moment to sit back and reflect on, okay, we've taken a few steps forward. Is it going in the right direction? Do I need to focus on other things at the same time? Do I actually need the help of anybody else? Or is it still okay to continue alone? There are many questions you can do just by sitting down with a cup of tea and a little notepad and just free writing. Almost like automatic writing, I find, and at times can be useful. One thing I have learned in life over the years is that if you keep your nerve, then all things will pass. Good, but especially bad, because they're the ones that we worry most about. So I do that. But as I say, I get nervous, I get het up if I'm sitting on my backside doing nothing. I prefer always to be doing something. So now I have to adjust and allow rest to be something I do as part of my project of moving towards achieving dreams. Is it character forming, having to put up with all of this? It's only character forming if you're smart enough to listen, to look at the signals all around you. It's gone. It's only character forming if you learn something from it. It's not character forming if you continue to make these mistakes day after day after day, like I did for about 3 weeks. So, internet is back on, cold is gone, my knee's improving, I am carrying out private self-treatment. Private self-treatment with a kitchen knife, antiseptic, antibiotic creams and other stuff as directed by the doctors. Seems to be working, it feels as if it's working. And I got a cat that looks to be adores me, but I think the notion is that I'm supposed to feed him. Right, so that's it. So the lesson this week is simply rest. Rest is an important component of everything you do. If you have dreams to achieve, as I've said before, do things efficiently, do them once, be lazy, do them once, get them done correctly, and then move on to something else. If you're tired, that's not likely to happen, because like the 90% farmer with a dead cow and cows escaping all over the place, it's wasted effort. It's dedicate yourself to doing things once and doing it right. And in order to make sure you do it right, then you need to be fit. You need to be in good condition. So rest is important. Rest and efficiency go together. If you aren't efficient, then you are not achieving what you want to achieve. You're misdirecting, you're missing signals. And as I said, I missed so many signals that in the end, everything came together and smacked me on the back of the head quite clearly with one ailment after another. And then to make sure that I slowed down and more or less stopped, I couldn't use the computer. I could use the computer, I couldn't use it in a broader sense because I didn't have any internet. It's a very rural area, so when we have problems with internet, it's not a priority. If you're in a built-up area, dense population density quite high, then one box, whatever they call exchange box, error can affect thousands of people. Here it's about 50, so it's thousands over there versus 50 here. We're not very high in the priority list. Time is always against you, so don't join it. Don't become an enemy to yourself. Use the time that you have wisely, and that also means investing in rest and taking care of yourself and not neglecting your needs. And if you've got an ingrowing toenail, get it sorted earlier. If you've got a dodgy knee ligament, rest it properly. If you've got a bad back, there's nothing you can do about that. It just happens. I just opened a window in order to clean it, and that was it. I was in trouble. The cold, there's nothing you can do. You know, when people are gathered together in social groups, you will catch any blinking infection going. Thankfully, no social ones. Has this been character forming? No. It's been a knock on the back of the head to say, pull yourself together, start thinking properly, and don't waste time. You need to rest. So, on that simple message, lie down with a cup of tea and a notebook and start planning gently when you're tired. If you can't stop, then just do that. Sitting there making notes, gathering ideas is resting, but it's also helping you move forward. So I wish you well. I hope you're in good spirits. I hope the Wibbly Wobbly isn't challenging you like it's challenging me, has been challenging me. I'm much better now, thank you. So if you would care to subscribe, to like and to share, I would be deeply grateful. Shadow is here and I want a cup of coffee, so one of us will have to move. No, it's not going to be him, he says. So I wish you well. Take care. Subscribe, share, and like. Bye bye now. Take care. Bye. Teammate. Ugh. Manachdi. No, stem sit under. Hang on. No. No. Damn it.